Hello and welcome back to the Youngstown Click Be Connected podcast. I am so excited to be back with you guys. And we are in Youngstown. Liberty, is this you?
Liberty Township, Youngstown mailing, yeah.
We're in Liberty Township today at HD Growth Partners. And I am so excited to introduce you to the CEO, founder, is that your title?
Yep.
Of HD Growth Partners. But guys, this man is so complex. He's so talented. He's such a good businessman, but he's also a very good resident. You're so inspirational to talk to. Your journey, just how you've gotten started. I think that it's so important for other people in Youngstown Click to know who's in their region, because there's a sense of pride and ownership that comes when you know that other people, your neighbors, friends, are doing great things. You feel like you're a part of something bigger. Yeah. So I'm so excited to have you here today. Before we get into letting you talk, I want to mention our sponsors. Guys, the Varsity Club of Youngstown is coming to downtown Youngstown. It is going to be the newest restaurant in downtown Youngstown at the Gallagher Building. If you guys have been listening to Youngstown Click, you guys know about the Gallagher Building. You know where it's at by now. But if you don't, it's at the corner of Commerce and Hazel in downtown Youngstown. And inside, I got to take a inside tour at a peek of what the Youngstown Club or the Varsity Club of Youngstown is going to look like. They have a really cool bar. They made it from a bowling alley.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's like it still has like the markings of the bowling alley. Mm-hmm. And do you remember Cedars? Did you go down to Cedars?
Oh, I mean, okay. You're talking about that property. I've been in there. I love it.
Okay.
We've seen a ton of great shows there. And just that being back to the downtown community is going to be awesome.
Yes, and it was, let me tell you, like the building had sat for so long. Mm-hmm. So many people would have said, there's no point in renovating it. And the fact that they took on this great project, turned it into Airbnbs and apartments, which are now just apartments, they're all full. And then a restaurant on the other side. Oh my goodness, so much work, but it's going to be so pretty. The original brick. And then the Cedars window, remember the infamous Cedars window? It's going to be the back of the bar. So,
that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So, yes. And then the patio is going to be coming like phase 2. It'll be cool. So, Varsity Club of Youngstown, make sure you follow them on Facebook so you know when they're opening. It should be next month if everything goes according to plan. So, right when your family's in for the holidays or your friends, definitely plan on going to check that out. And then the Cat in Columbiana, the Cat Theater literally is, it's under new ownership, but it's literally a collective of creative people that will do shows, workshops, performances. It's just a collection of creative, like-minded people who are, they have some big plans, some new things. So not only the theater performances, but they have so much more that it's just kind of growing into be. So their tagline is, see you at the Cat. So that's CAT, at thecat.com. All right, let's get into this. So, Tim, tell us a little bit about, HD Growth Partners, and then we'll kind of go backwards.
Sure.
So tell us about HD Growth Partners, what you do, what you offer to the community.
So we're an accounting and advisory business.
Okay.
We specialize in the middle market.
Okay.
So we work closely with the businesses that maybe can't afford a full-blown accounting department or a CFO.
Okay.
Somebody that they still want to have good insights about their business, good advice about their business.
Okay.
But it's a difficult place to try to hire and staff that kind of team internally. So we serve as that outsourced accounting resource for those kinds of businesses.
Okay.
Range all over the place in terms of size of clients that we work with.
Okay.
But a strong specialty in the hospitality space, a strong specialty in the nonprofit space.
Oh.
Many of the nonprofits in our community currently outsource their accounting department to us.
Really?
And it just helps to professionalize the organization, gives them better data, gives them the ability to work smarter, get better grant applications in, make better decisions about their business.
Okay.
So really, really focused on working with those clients that we can be engaged with all year long, as opposed to the traditional public accounting model of just kind of seeing people once a year for your compliance focused work, whether it's your tax returns or your audit or whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely. So. That's so important. So how often do we see or hear, even public, like nationally, how this one area can tank an entire business.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the number one reason that a business will fail is capital ultimately. I mean, small, medium-sized businesses, the number one reason for failure is lack of access to capital. And if they have better financial information and data on their businesses, then they can get the appropriate capital. They can spend the right amount of money within their business. They can apply for the right loans. They can apply for the right investments. But if they don't have it, then they're kind of behind, and it puts them in a bad spot. And then, once you start that path, it's an ugly snowball once you kick that thing down the hill.
Man. Yeah, there's so many good ideas. And even as you're talking about like some of the lingo you use, I'm like already overwhelmed. Yeah. So no, I mean, not listening to you, but as a business owner, especially creatives, especially people who know that, I mean, anybody, you get good at what you do and you want to do it, and you don't really want to bother about everything else. So it kind of like gets brushed aside. Yep. But I've been reading a book, and along the lines of what you said, this is the single most important reason for a business. Yep. Right? Without it, you could have all the great ideas in the world. And then you hear horror stories about trusting the wrong person. So I love what you've done. Now you've built this up and service the nation, right?
Correct.
How many states do you have clients in?
Our payroll business operates in about 42 different states across the country.
Wow.
Our accounting business is probably in about a dozen currently.
Okay.
It kind of ebbs and flows depending on projects that we pick up.
Okay.
But we made the difference, or we made the decision a few years ago to transition from a traditional accounting business to an advisory focused business.
Okay.
And somebody said something to me that really made it click. And this was the way that I tend to explain it to people is that, you go to an accountant to get questions answered.
Yeah.
Right. So you go to an accountant to understand about taxes or compliance work, audits, or this, that, or the other. When you go to an advisor, they're the ones asking the questions. Right. So the advisor is the one that's digging in and trying to understand your business.
Okay.
And try to understand how you're viewing the world so that they can help you better. Right. So that's the delineation between an accountant and advisor. An accountant is more historical looking, and advisor is more forward looking.
That's a perfect description. I get it totally. Yeah. So you're just a local guy.
That's right.
Not just a local guy. You're a amazing local guy, but you didn't always, you didn't come from this kind of family where your dad was like a successful businessman and you weren't handed the business. So talk to us a little bit about your story and how you got here.
Yeah, so a bit of a unique upbringing. Lost my parents pretty young. I was 4, my brother was 13.
Oh my.
And we kind of bounced around with our various different family members. We had an aunt and uncle that took us in for the better part of, most of grade school and high school and stuff like that for about 10 years. And, just kind of got shared parenting amongst a bunch of different people, whether it was my mother's siblings, my aunts, my grandma on the west side. So I grew up and lived kind of out in the country out in Ellsworth, Ohio.
Okay.
Went to school out there at Western Reserve High School.
Okay.
And then on the weekends, a lot of the weekends I spent time with my grandma on the west side of Youngstown.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So grew to love Youngstown at an early age.
Yeah.
Went to Youngstown State University.
Okay.
Graduated from Youngstown State in 2009.
Okay.
Was a difficult moment in the national economy. It was the financial crisis. It wasn't the best time to join the industry, right? Or the workforce in general, I suppose.
Right.
Had interviewed with a bunch of different accounting firms around town, didn't ultimately get any opportunities here. Was planning to leave town and go somewhere else for a job. Had a job lined up in D.C. and you got introduced to Harold Davis, who's an accountant that's been in business here in town for many, many years.
Okay.
And he was kind of at a crossroads of his career.
Okay.
He didn't want to be a part of the traditional public accounting firm anymore and wanted to do more business coaching, consulting, advisory work.
Okay. Now, where was he out of? Where was his office?
So he was on Motor Inn Drive right down the street here in Girard, Liberty.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he acquired another practice here in town of a gentleman who had been ill.
Okay.
And after he had acquired that business, he realized that he needed some help. So, I got introduced to him through a friend and just started answering the phones, just kind of helping out around the office, supposed to be a temporary thing. And, we went 6-7 months down the road and it was time for me to leave. And he and I got back together and he was excited about working with me. I was excited about working with him.
Wow.
He invested a lot of time and energy in me, and kind of taught me, what I needed to know in this business, introduced me to the right people. And I started buying in our business at 23.
Wow.
I took over as our managing partner at 25, and have really had a ton of fun trying to build something unique ever since then.
Right. So, yeah, speaking of unique, okay, so you guys can see part of the wall behind me, but I just want to read what's on the wall, because when you walk into these offices, that is definitely the way that you could describe it. It's very unique. The culture, people look like they're happy to be here, but you could feel the vibe. And every room you go into, it has like a different feel and a different, I mean, they have a table. It's like a meeting table, but it's a big round table on the corner. It's super cool. Like when you walk into, so you could tell that you've really taken the work to do things in a unique and fun way, not your average, like what people would consider an accounting or like advisory.
Yeah.
Like you picture like stuffy, like a stuffy
Looks a little bit more
environment.
like a tech company around here.
Yeah.
Looks a little more West Coast.
So can you read what's on the wall behind me?
Yeah, so this was actually inspired by Livestrong's corporate headquarters.
Okay.
So Livestrong's corporate headquarters has something similar in terms of, the different depths and things that are on the wall and how it's displayed. I've worn a Livestrong bracelet my entire adult life.
Where are the headquarters?
In California.
Okay.
So when we were looking around and trying to find, inspiration for the building, this was something that was always important to me. I lost my mother to cancer. It was always something that's been front of mind for me. And so we wanted to take that and kind of adapt it into who we are. So a group of us sat around and kind of talked about who we are and what's important to us in our business, and came up with a bunch of these different things. So, we are visionaries. We are a team. We innovate. We care. We work hard and have fun doing it. We are lifelong learners. We are proactive. In the center of my wall is one of the things that gets said a lot around here is that we fail forward.
Oh,
So,
that's so good.
we want to be in a position where we're trying new things and we're experimenting, and know that we're not just going to accept whatever the norm was, especially in our industry.
Right.
So that's why that is front and center, right in the smack middle of the wall here. And then
We fail forward. I think you guys could actually see that part, maybe. Yeah.
Good. And then we are community minded, and we are HD Davis. So, I mean, that is something that I see every day when I walk in here. This is my office. This is my space. This is a good reminder to me if I'm ever kind of going off course. Yeah,
that's so big, because I'm sure there's so many. I mean, the ideas are numerous of what could throw us off course. You know what I mean? So to have that, I feel like you need to collaborate with the city of Youngstown and make that like big in the city of, like in the middle of the city of Youngstown. Who we are. Like, can you imagine that? Like through the midst of all the adversity and stuff, people could look and be like, okay, we are Youngstown. We are this, we are that.
We have so much potential here.
Oh, talk to us about this. Okay. So Youngstown Click, you guys know that I always say you are the best part of what makes Youngstown click. People are the biggest asset of our region. I know that Tim would agree, because I've gotten to hang out with him a couple times now. But talk to us about the Youngstown's potential, how you see it. You were going to leave. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's always been important for me. I wanted to stay. I wanted to raise my family here.
Yeah.
This community has done a lot of great things for me. Even before HD, I mean, I've just always loved being a part of what this community stood for.
Yeah.
And it's the little things. I mean, it's the sense of community that, when someone's down, people rally around them.
Yeah.
Whether it be all the golf outings, whether it be all the different fundraiser events, that when somebody's down, we get behind people. And, the more that you travel the country and see other places in the United States, you realize that what we have here is special in that regard.
Oh,
is that we do watch out for one another. We fight for each other. So, I mean, that's a qualitative thing about this area that's important. But, I mean, you look at the tangible things. I mean, you look at the Mill Creek Park.
I know.
That's the number one thing. Most of my colleagues and friends left.
Really?
Like, their goal was, I'm going to go to school so I can get out of Youngstown.
Right. Well, and at that time, those years, like you said, it was almost like necessary to work in your field.
It was either one of two things. It's either, when I graduated college, it was a financial crisis. You had to go somewhere else to look. Or, we had global conflicts that were going on. I had a lot of friends that went to the military and went across the world and did things like that too. But so now we're seeing those people come back. We're seeing those people realize, I've been gone for the last 10, 15 years, and I never appreciated what I had here until I was gone. Right.
Wow.
So Mill Creek Park is, I think, the second largest municipal park in the United States.
Second only to Central Park.
Central Park in New York City. I mean, come on. It's beautiful.
I know. We should make it like, you know how like you vision. What do you think of when you think of Central Park?
I mean, the only thing that I think of is like, walking around and hearing somebody playing some John Legend music. There's little pockets of Central Park that I'll go to. Like, I don't like New York City. I will avoid New York City like the plague. It's too much for me. And it's just like, if you ever want a sense of like how insignificant you are, go to New York City and just walk around. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people, and then you just see so many people just like head down. They're not interacting with one another. Whereas here, if you're walking to the grocery store, you're walking down the street, you see somebody, you're saying hello,
Absolutely.
You're shaking their hand, you're giving them a hug, you're talking about what's going on in their community. So, that's that Midwestern vibe that I've grown to love here, and it's just extra special within the Youngstown community.
That's amazing to hear that people are coming back and loving it and seeing what we have here. I love that, because when I think of Central Park, I think of people having picnics and, like you said, the music, kind of like the strains of music, and people skating, and a lot of the everyday life people go to, people on work breaks. You know what I mean? And
that's the only green they get.
Right.
We take that for granted here.
Right.
I mean,
right. Did you know they had a zoo at one point in there? I've been ice skating through Central Park.
Yeah.
Well, not through it, but in it. Yeah. So, but when you think about Mill Creek, like, we have so many of those things. We just don't, like, it's not as like in movies.
We've just taken it for granted.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is that,
right.
Most people that have grown up here, that's all they know, right? And they just think that, well, everybody has that, until you leave and you realize, well, not everybody has that. Not everybody has like the mixing pot of ethnicities in this community too. And we've got some great different restaurants, we, especially here on the north side, we're blessed with some pretty great spots. I mean, Station Square is amazing. Kravitz is spectacular. Jimmy's is awesome. Margaritas.
I've lived so many places, and I've never seen halushki as a side option for the menu, like on the menu. Halushki, pierogies. Now, pierogies a little bit more, but not Youngstown pierogies.
Now you're speaking my language. Okay, that's on Christmas Eve, my grandma and her sister Aunt Annie would make pierogi every Christmas Eve. So my sister and I started doing it many Christmas Eves ago. We haven't done it for a while. The pandemic kind of screwed up some of that, but like, we would sit there, we'd roll out the dough. Nikki would make all the mashed potatoes. We'd scoop them in and pinch them together and try to mess with that science. But I mean, those are just the little things in this community, like St. Stan's. If you've never had the pierogi from St. Stan's, like, you missed out. I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. I mean, your arteries are probably a little healthier than mine, but whatever.
There's that place. What's that place? There's a restaurant that has like 20 varieties of pierogies or something like that. Lena's.
Yeah,
or
I've seen a few
Lena's
new ones pop up, and
like
there's
that.
one in Boardman that I really like.
Really?
I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. That'd be a good time to shout them out.
Right.
We're getting into pierogi season now. It's like,
I didn't know there was a pierogi season.
Well, it's when it gets cold outside. You can't eat pierogi in the summertime. You can't carry around those mashed potatoes and all that dough in your stomach in the middle of August. Give that to
I
me
don't
in
know.
January when it's
Pierogies
10.
with eggs in the morning. Oh my goodness, I could have that year round. Year round. It's so good. But the best halushki. Now we're getting off course here a little bit, but it's worth talking about. Okay, I was doing like insurance when I first came back to the area. Right, I was doing Medicare Advantage plans. Okay, and so I went and I visited a lady in Camel. And she was like listening, and she had something on the stove. And as a general rule, I didn't like eat at people's houses. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm there to So she says, "Oh, I'm making halushki." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's nice, And so she, we're talking. She said, "Oh, I got to go. Oh, it's done." So she says, "Do you want some halushki?" And I said, No, thank you. That's okay. And she says, "Oh, no, you got to have some of my halushki."
When a little old lady offers you halushki in her house,
I didn't know.
You eat it. I mean, that should be the
That's a
general rule
lesson.
of
This
thumb.
was that,
Yeah.
yes. Because let me tell you, I wanted seconds and thirds.
Oh, yeah.
My
Yeah.
goodness. I have yet to find a restaurant that made it as good as that lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
In her kitchen.
Well, it's like, have you ever seen the movie The Wedding Singer?
Yes.
You know, when he's in there and he's giving music lessons and he's getting paid in meatballs, you know, and the lady puts it in his hand and she's, I want to see you enjoy it. You know, that's the moment that you were a part of there. Yeah.
Okay, right. So Ian, Youngstown, listen. Do you remember America's Home Extreme Makeover?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Ty, he
Yep.
was like,
Move that bus.
Move that
Yeah.
bus. Yes. So they came to Youngstown. You know that,
Yeah.
right?
The house over by Home Depot in Boardman.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So years later, he was getting interviewed, or maybe a year later, so a while later, he was getting interviewed, and they said, "Okay, so you've been to a lot of places in America. Are there any most like memorable?" And he said, "Well, there is a place called Youngstown, Ohio."
Hell yeah, Ty.
Right? Come
Yeah.
on. He said, we woke up in the morning and there was a line down the street with people with their baked goods coming to like give them to us.
Yeah.
And he said that was shocking to him, right? That's Youngstown.
That's a real community.
That's Youngstown. Yeah. I love that so much.
Well, and that was a big reason that, you know, I've incubated a number of businesses in this community over the years, and Youngstown Clothing Company was one of my favorite ones that we incubated in the early years from the flea. For that reason specifically, was that, you know, you'd wear a Youngstown Clothing Company T-shirt anywhere in the country, and someone's going to stop you, and you're going to have a conversation about that shirt. Wow. They're going to say, "Oh, well, where did you find that shirt that's talking about cookie tables?" People don't know what cookie tables are outside of here.
Right. The Youngstown Clothing Company. For people who don't know, I mean, most people have seen them or whatever, but talk to them about. So you were directly a part of their growth, because they started out the Youngstown Flea, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Youngstown Clothing Company is one of a handful of companies that I incubated. So I made it an investment in their business early on. There was a financial investment, and there was also an investment of my time to help them build various different pieces of their business. So I worked closely with the guys.
It was the first company you incubated?
There have been a few. It was the one that I've really had the most fun with for a number of reasons. I mean, number one, you know, Youngstown Clothing Company is something special in a sense that it shows that pride in Youngstown, especially not just on the actual shirt itself, but it shows the pride when you're out in different parts of the country or different parts of the world and someone stops you and you have a conversation about those memories, right? But it was one of those businesses, coming back to the idea of those boomerangers, right? Those people that left the community.
Yes.
And the guys, the family that had been developing this business didn't live here. They were from here. They were from Struthers, the McClure boys.
They're from Struthers?
Yeah.
Struthers.
Yeah. St. Rudders. And you know, they moved away. Same kind of story. They were my age. They had opportunity elsewhere, and they left. So one was in Columbus, one was in Arizona. And, you know, my goal at the beginning of the business was, I think we can get this big enough that it gets you guys back here. And
wow.
You know,
so you knew them before?
Yeah. So I got to know them through the flea.
Got it. Okay.
And got started with them, launched their Yo Nation Jar program. So we partner with commercial brands, such as Handles was our first one, Handles Ice Cream.
Okay.
And we came to Handles and we said, you know, I remember the meeting with Lenny Fisher. I walked into his office, and this was 2016, so it was 8 years ago. 20-year-old kid walking into, you know, Handles corporate office and said, "Hey, we want to use your logo." And I said, "Why? And what are you going to do for us? We're Handles." You know, like, people know who we are. People don't know who you are.
Right.
And I said, "Well, we've got a couple thousand followers on our social media. We've got great engagement. We've got something unique and special here." And there were other models that were doing it. There was, you know, Homage was doing it, Cleveland Clothing Company. There were some other brands out there that had already started this. And I said, "I want to use your logo, and I'm not going to pay you to use it." I said, "Okay." And I said, "But I want to take a page out of your book here. And people have come to you and asked you for fundraising dollars, and you sold pint cards." And I said, "I'm going to take a percentage of every T-shirt that we sell, and I'm going to give it to your favorite charity. So we're going to work together to build something that's impactful to Youngstown, that promotes your brand in a positive light.
Okay.
And we're supporting a great, you know, charitable organization."
Yeah.
So Handles was our first one, and then White House Fruit Farm and DeRusso Sausage and Sandwich Factory and, there's a list now. My favorite one, the last one that I did before the guys moved home and I kind of stepped out was Wedgwood Pizza. As a West Side guy. Fernando was my guy.
Oh my goodness, I didn't see that one. I love it. I love it.
The best part about it was
Fernando is my guy. I like
we
it.
did the design of the shirt, and it was a caricature of Fernando, holding a pie, and I went back into the store a few weeks after that.
Yeah.
And I saw his daughter there, and she called me aside and said, "Hey, check this out." And she got the design tattooed on her arm.
No way.
It was such a cool moment because Fernando is such
cool.
an iconic character in this community.
Do you know? And he did things his own way.
Yeah.
He never took credit cards, cash only.
Yep.
And you wanted his pizza enough that you
didn't care.
You didn't care. No, you made sure you had cash.
Yep. Yep. And if one of his locations weren't doing it right, he shut them down.
Really? Oh, wow.
And Fernando was the real deal, man.
How old was he when he died? 93, 97?
I mean, and he was still running around that place.
Oh.
I mean, he was just a special human being. I was lucky to be able to do that and memorialize him before he passed.
So he got to see it. Yeah. He got to see it. I bet he was, Oh, that's cool. Okay, so you incubated them, and then do you still incubate businesses?
Yeah, not as much anymore. I mean, I did a good handful of them. It was a great learning experience for me. One of the things that I learned along the way was that, if I'm going to dedicate time and energy to something, I have to stay focused in the right categories and the right areas.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So it got to the point where I had done a handful of them, and our business was growing, and I felt that my focus wasn't being deployed in the right place. Right?
Okay.
So really tried to take a step back from some of that stuff and really focus on our business here at HD and our team of people. When we made the big investment of our facility and what we were going to be into the future, we made a huge investment in our technology and our tech stack over the course of the last 2 years. And that was the decision to really take a step back and just focus solely on this.
Got it. Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you were like primed to be a shark on the Shark Tank. It's kind of like what you're already doing or did, you know what I'm saying? But it's kind of cool too. I'm sure it's nice when you could look back and be like, man, I helped make that happen.
Yeah.
Because it's and now they have their second location going into the Eastwood Mall.
Yeah, get ready. I mean, the Eastwood Mall location is going to be sweet.
It?
They learned a lot from the Southern Park Mall location. The Southern Park Mall location will stay.
Yeah.
But the Eastwood Mall location is going to be great. The Cafaro family's been amazing in support of this. They've wanted them there for a long time.
That's another thing I have to say, talking about local and what we have here locally. What mall in America, the size of the Eastwood Mall, is owned by a local family?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And to my knowledge, the DeBartolo's and the Cafaros were instrumental in spreading even the idea of malls throughout the nation.
Mr. DeBartolo invented the shopping mall.
That's okay.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
He invented the shopping mall.
Incredible.
That's a claim to fame here in Youngstown.
Right. That should be on a T-shirt.
Yeah. Sparklers.
We invented
sparklers, and we invented the shopping
I didn't know we invented the sparklers.
They were invented in Youngstown.
Come on. Hey, see, guys, Youngstown click. Okay, listen. If the DeBartolo's still own the Southern Park Mall too, it would probably be a lot, because there's something about a local investment, local ownership. That's why I love Bogies too, and the Bunker. They're locally owned.
Yeah.
The coffee shop, Steel Valley.
Steel Valley, yeah.
So Works, locally owned. I love that so much.
Denise and the DeBartolo family were instrumental in making that whole space happen.
Oh, were they?
So they may not still have, and I don't know to what extent they have ownership or whatever in that facility anymore. But
so still those local ties though.
Oh yeah, I mean, she showed up. She was with me and Josh when we were pitching to the commissioners, when we were meeting with a local politician. She was right there by our side with her team of people that was supporting that initiative. So whether or not they still have ownership in that facility, they're still very vested in making sure that it turned out as beautiful as it did.
That's good to know. I did not know that. Mm-hmm. But I know the DeBartolo Commons, I see kids out there playing all the time. I see it's been a great asset and a great addition to the mall, which is really,
And Steel Valley Brew Works is sweet. I mean, Josh is just one of the coolest entrepreneurs you'll ever meet. He's got a great business.
So for those of you who don't know, Steel Valley Brew Works is also connected to, what's the other coffee shop?
Stone Fruit Coffee.
Stone Fruit Coffee, yes. Yep. Which he started up from scratch, right?
Yeah. I mean, Josh, I remember walking into the first coffee shop in Canfield that Josh started. He was just kind of like having fun roasting coffee. And it was kind of a side thing for him. It was a hustle. And he was in this building in Canfield by the bike trail. And when he would roast coffee, you legitimately thought the place was going to burn down because it was a shanty of a place. And I remember walking in there. I had gotten introduced to him through a friend of mine.
Okay.
And I walked in and I met with him and I just sat there and I wasn't really much of a coffee guy. Like I drank regular old Folgers or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wasn't very specific or educated about that community.
Coffee in a can.
Yeah. And I sat down and I listened to him talk about coffee in a way that was just unique. I mean, he was passionate about it. He loved it. He enjoyed it. He was educational about it. He didn't make you feel like you were less of a person because
he
you
wanted
didn't
to
understand.
share his knowledge.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So like I saw that at the beginning and saw how he poured that into the rest of his team. And that's why they grew so fast. I mean, it's the same concept as Howard Schultz and Starbucks.
Yes.
They wanted the notes on your coffee. They want to remember who you are. You want to be part of that community when you walk in there.
Do you know, I still know the Starbucks language.
Yeah.
I know when they say it wrong, there's a little piece of me that still gets, because I was the head trainer. I was one of the head trainers. Yeah. They had, when Starbucks went public on NASDAQ, they invited 10 Starbucks employees from all of New York. Mm-hmm. They picked 10 and I was one of the 10
That's super
that got
cool.
to go to the NASDAQ and open it with the CEO.
That's sweet.
But so I know I was a coffee master.
Yeah.
And I know the lingo and they're supposed to I trained you when you put that drink up there, you call it and you say thank you, even if they're not right there. Right now they'll just put it up there.
Yeah.
And you sometimes I'll say thank you and they don't even respond.
That's the missing piece in so many businesses.
I'm like, I need to go back and start training some of these. Yeah. Now I know you're right.
We need more Chick-fil-A's of the world.
My pleasure.
It's my pleasure.
You're right.
And it's consistent every single time. And our payroll business, when we launched White Glove Payroll, the whole idea was that we wanted to be the Chick-fil-A of payroll processors. It was very simple as that we are going to be the premium service offering. When people interact with us, they're going to feel like it was a luxurious treatment. They're going to feel the same way when you go buy a high-end car or something like that, is that you're special and you're
Have you ever gotten to go to the headquarters or anything? Mm-mm. That would be interesting.
That would be super cool.
Especially since you've modeled your, something totally different than food off of them. Do you know who they modeled off of?
Well, I know that they modeled some of their language from, the Ritz-Carltons and stuff like that. They speak that elevated language of service.
Isn't that cool?
It's not can I fill up your drink? It's may I refresh your beverage? That elevated language is different.
Wow. Yeah. See, okay, I didn't realize it, but I do know that they sent them to the Ritz-Carlton experience and said, hey, let's learn. Let's glean from this for fast food.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing is that, in fast food, there's not a whole lot of room for innovation, right? I mean, you have to produce a quality, consistent product over and over and over again.
Yeah.
The one area that you could truly innovate is in the service-based piece of it, and how you communicate with people and the experience that they have when they come into your facility. That's what's different. That's the reason that, if you go in Bourbon and you go to the Chick-fil-A in Bourbon out on 224 out there and you look right next door and you see McDonald's.
Right.
There's a line out the door at Chick-fil-A and it's crickets at McDonald's.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
And it's not like the food is that drastically different. I mean, Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches are the truth. By the way, they are delicious. They've zoned in on one thing and they've nailed it, right? But is it that much better than McDonald's food that you would have, a line out the door of people compared to having zero people there, right?
Right.
And they have just focused on innovating on service and communication, and that's just a great example of, if you're a small, medium-sized business today, there's an area that you could create your advantage.
Right.
You could be better than Walmart at a lot of things.
Right.
Don't try to compete with Walmart at convenience.
No, right.
But you sure as heck could compete with Walmart at service.
You're right.
And customer service and customer experiences.
Absolutely. You're right. So that is kind of where you come in because you're able to go into a business and say, hey, let's get you to that next level. They might be stuck in the weeds or whatever. So, or is it just, so we talked to, do you know John Angelilli?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just had a good conversation with John last week.
Oh, okay. So basically John, he's an consultant, an outsourcer.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're a little bit more like when you do growth partners, is it a little bit more, is it covering, or is it specifically like when it comes to your finances and your, like, would you sit down and say, okay, you guys need to structure your customer service, or would you say, hey, we need to restructure your books, or both?
Yeah. So, I mean, the way that I look at businesses is a little bit unique.
Okay.
I am an entrepreneur myself. I have started many businesses. I invest in a lot of different businesses. That's part of my investment thesis is I invest in businesses that I can help.
Okay.
Right. So even if it's a client that we're servicing here at HD Growth Partners, I'm looking at it the same way. I'm looking at it holistically. I'm looking at, not just the numbers. Now, the numbers are the most important thing for us to understand if we've made a good change or not.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So
okay.
the numbers are critical in your systems and your processes in order to make sure that that stuff is correct.
Okay.
Is really important. Now, and that's what our team does here. They ensure that that data is great. And then we've got our advisors that you stack on top of that.
Okay.
That then meet with those people and discuss those financial statements.
Okay.
Right. So what we do is any of our clients that receive a financial statement from us, not only do they get a delivered financial statement, but they get a video along with it that explains it and talks through it and asks them questions and say, hey, something looks funny here about your gross margin compared to last quarter.
Okay.
What did you do differently? What is this advertising line item? Why is it different than last time? This is what we're seeing in the overall industry. These are some things that maybe we could recommend that you look into, or some podcasts that you listen to, or some articles that you should be reading. So most of the blocking and tackling and day-to-day analytics and feedback for our clients at Growth Partners is a lot of that. But then when you bring in somebody like me on top of that, then it's having those other broader conversations about what's your go-to-market strategy? What's your succession plan, which is a huge one here in this community because nobody has one.
Right.
What are you spending money on marketing?
None of us are going to die. I mean,
everybody's going to live forever, and they'll sell the business when they sell the business.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Totally. Okay. So, if you were to give advice to young entrepreneurs, right, or somebody out there who has an idea that they might have a full-time job or whatever, like, you've worked with so many people, you've seen so many people. What's it, like a broad advice? I know that there's probably so many different niches, but just maybe give some advice to, like you would if you were all of our favorite uncle.
Yeah, old Uncle Timmy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so there's a good handful of things, related to being in business, and number one is, in my opinion, is you have to charge the right price for whatever it is that you're doing.
Okay.
It's that simple. Is that if you want to make pepperoni rolls, right, and you think you make the best pepperoni rolls in the world, you better charge right for the best pepperoni rolls in the world. Okay. Because if you don't charge the right price for whatever it is that you're offering, and I see this a ton in the creative space. Yeah. Because creatives don't care so much about the price and the quantitative assessment. They look at the qualitative assessment of the art.
Yes.
Right. Is the food great? Is the artwork beautiful?
Okay.
It's a more subjective assessment of if something is good.
That's so good. Yeah.
So, working a lot in the creative space, because I work a lot in the hospitality world.
A lot of passion in it. They're just happy that it's out there.
They're happy that people they just want people to enjoy it. They're like that little old lady with the meatballs. I want to see you enjoy it. But you got to have somebody that you can have in your corner that says to you, hey, this is great that people enjoy the meatballs, old lady, right? But you got to charge the right price. Because if you don't charge the right price, there's a trickle-down effect. Okay. If you don't charge the right price, then you can't do things correctly. If you don't charge the right price, you can't hire good people. If you don't charge the right price, you can't have a clean, welcoming facility for people to come into. If you don't charge the right price, you can't innovate and deal with the challenges that are coming in whatever industry that you're in. You need to have room for those kinds of things.
Got it.
So it all starts with that. And a lot of the work that we do with people is very simply focused on that. First things first. Let's make sure that you have clean records. Let's make sure you have good data to make great decisions. And let's make sure you're charging the right price for whatever it is that you're doing. Got it. So that's undoubtedly step one. And step two is you got to fire assholes. You got to get bad people out of your business. You cannot allow bad people inside of your business because they will kill it from the inside. So I mean, my original business partner, Harold Davis, he had an eloquent way of describing this. He said it's, business is like a skin doctor. Is there's thousands and thousands of rashes and there's 2 salves.
Oh my God.
And every time he said it, I'd cringe a little bit because it was like kind of icky and gross because you're thinking about rashes. But I'm like, damn it, he's right. I mean, at the end of the day, if you do those 2 things correctly in any business, if you charge the right price and you fire your bad people, you're going to be so far ahead of everybody else. It's going to be crazy.
Incredible. I feel like that's like $1 million tip right there.
No doubt about it.
You know what I'm saying? Because not only that, but like so many people don't have the opportunity to sit with a Harold Davis or Tim Petrey in person. You know what I mean? So to offer that kind of advice is, if somebody had given me that advice when I started my photography business, man, it would have saved me so much.
Oh my gosh.
Questioning and self-doubting and wondering if I'm charging the right prices, and you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All these different things. So
And I mean, what ends up happening is you don't charge the right price and you attract the wrong kind of people. If you're a cheap person, if you're someone that doesn't like to spend money on things, or you don't have a correct assessment of true value in your world, and you don't charge appropriately, then you attract more of those people. And as you attract more of those people, then you're only selling to people that don't appreciate your value, and you're selling to people that only are working with you because you're cheap. And then what happens is down the road, you need to fix it, right? Because you have to make that investment into the next thing, that hire, that facility, that piece of equipment, whatever it might be. And you go and you raise your prices to try to create room for that. And your customers that you've attracted are looking at you and saying, I don't want this. I'm here because it's cheap. I'm not here because I think you're great. I'm here because you're cheap, right? And then they leave, right? Right when you need, right. And had you just attracted the right people from the beginning, you'd have been able to make those investments and or understand that maybe the business isn't viable. Right. You could waste so many years of your life in a non-viable business because you're doing it cheap, and you're not tracking your books appropriately because you're trying to save money, and you're having like grandma do it on the side, or you know what I mean.
On a side note, my grandma has offered. She's 93. She's
But that's the mistake that people make, right? Is they're like, oh, well, I'm going to save money on accounting, or I'm going to save money on marketing, or I'm going to save money on this, that, or the other, so that I can be cheap, and then ultimately, like, the business just consumes you, and you're handcuffed to it because it can't grow beyond you. And if you get sick, you're screwed. If you try to raise your price to do the right kinds of services and hire the right kind of people, you're stuck. So.
Right. That's good. Thank you for that. Okay, so I did not prepare you for our question that we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
So I'm about to ask you, but before I ask you this. Maybe final question, because I'm sure that they'll whatever. How can people reach out to HD Growth Partners or White Glove Payroll?
Yeah, so our website's a great place to start, www.hdgrowthpartners.com, www.whiteglovepayroll.com. Okay. The best thing that we have on our website is our newsletters. Okay. So sign up for our newsletters. We're creating educational content. These aren't pre-canned industry newsletters. These are newsletters that are about things that are relevant to small business owners.
And written by you. It's not like you're just rehashing like, Forbes or something like
Correct.
that.
Yeah, these are things that are either written by me personally or written by some of our staff. Department heads here on our team. So they're really good pieces of information. That's typically the first way that people get started with us. They get to know us by interacting with one of our people. Yeah. They hear a podcast or hear this, that, or the other educational content that we've created, and they sign up for the newsletter. And it's another way for them to get to know us and get to know truly what we're providing as opposed to what people associate with the traditional accounting business. Okay. And it gets them to understand what the difference is.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, final question, maybe. So 3 of your favorite places. Where does Tim Petrey like to go? 3 places. I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah. That you would recommend to your friends or family, like, hey, you got to check this place out. Or, it could be anything. It could be a restaurant. It could be...
in the broader Youngstown region?
In the whole Youngstown Click region, which is between Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Okay.
So you have a big spectrum.
Well, I'll tell you the places that you'll typically find me.
Okay.
Right. All right. Stone Fruit Coffee is definitely number one.
Okay.
For me. I mean, that's my second office. I end up, it's a place where I can just go and, have a cup of coffee, bring my laptop, bring a book, read through something. And at the same time, I'm still interacting with people as they're coming and going.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. There's 3 locations now?
Yeah. So they've got the Boardman location. They have Steel Valley in the mall. There's a coffee roastery inside of there.
Okay.
They have the location in Poland. The old PNC
about
Bank in Poland.
Okay.
And then Mike and Laura Cupp run the Stone Fruit Coffee Company on campus at Youngstown State University.
Oh, okay.
And so they're working on launching inside of Meijer grocery store. I can't remember which one. They're working on construction.
Probably the new one on Austintown. Maybe?
So that's going to be something special too, is to see one of those local businesses partner with a big one. But
yes,
love hanging out there.
Youngstown.
That's definitely a place that I like to hang out.
Okay.
The Canfield Fairgrounds.
Really?
All right. So I hate to do this because I almost feel like I'm going to give out of my own little secret here. So I live across the street from the Canfield Fairgrounds.
Oh,
okay?
That's convenient.
So I'm close by. It's very convenient. Yes. But 51 weeks out of the year, the fair is not happening.
Right.
Okay. Right?
Yeah.
And so the fairgrounds are an extremely well-maintained piece of property. So you've got a ton of area there to walk, to think, to take your dog, to play with your kids, to ride bikes, to just, walk through the little Western Reserve Village. Or, I mean, it's a great spot to hang out.
Wow.
Has quickly become one of my favorite places to just be and spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, I could see that, just to be.
Yep.
Sometimes even during the Canfield Fair, I'd go and find a little spot and just sit, especially with when you can hear the music.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but it's so nice. You still see everything going on around you, but yeah, there's just something so peaceful about that place.
And it's much cleaner the other 51 weeks out of the year too, so that's kind of nice. So, yeah. And my third one is probably a little bit more broad, is that, and I still don't understand why we have this here, but all of the golf courses in the broader Youngstown, Warren region area is just silly. Like I don't know how we support all of them. They're spectacular. I mean, we're so lucky. We're so blessed to have.
Yes.
I mean, you look at the facilities like Avalon Lakes. I mean, what Ron Klingel has built there.
Yeah.
The #1 resort in the state of Ohio.
Really?
It is
Avalon?
The Avalon
That's
Warren.
amazing.
It's the #1 resort in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
What he has done there, what he's built there, the experience that you have when you go there is something special and unique. The golf course is spectacular.
Yeah.
Youngstown Country Club is a storied facility built in 1898. Just got the building on the historical register over there.
Wow.
Then you look beyond the private clubs and you see the Mill Creek Park Golf Course and Flying Bee and Salem Hills and all these amazing places in our community. Is like, how do we have this?
You're right. So, I never thought of that. I never, even this one, the little one in going in Hubbard. It's not
Pine Lakes.
No, it's right along. They have like little pumpkins and stuff, and they have like they have a driving range.
Oh,
it's locally family owned.
Yes,
that guy's a PGA certified golf instructor.
Yep.
That's a pretty big, thing. Yeah, you're right. I never thought about that.
We're very lucky. Yeah,
we are. Okay, all you golfers.
That's right. It's a great place to live if you like golf.
And then the bunker. With the virtual golf.
You get the simulator golf that Jonah has over at the bunker. It's spectacular. It's amazing equipment. Unfortunately, it's very accurate. It'd be nice if it was a little less accurate and it made me a better golfer, but I feel like there's some cheat codes on that system maybe we could work on.
I went in there just to have a good time the one day. Oh my goodness. I was like, I didn't realize golf was so hard. I mean, I was horrible.
Golf was hard.
those little machines, like sometimes you'll find you roll the ball and then it's like goes like this. I'm pretty good at I've gotten pretty decent at that. Yeah. But real golf, my
golf
goodness.
Is remarkably different.
So now I'm going to go to the driving range and just try to see how far I can
get.
Oh man. Well, Tim, thank you. Is there anything else that you feel like the Youngstown Click that you would like to say or?
I mean, I think the message that we're always trying to share in this community is that you can build something special here.
Yes.
in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes.
You can build something that is beyond your wildest dreams in terms of a business here.
Yeah.
I know that what we've created here is far beyond anything I would have ever imagined, and the doors that it's opened and the opportunity that it's created, I'm eternally grateful for. But, the reason that I continue to do things like this, like I'm an accountant, I'm a naturally introverted human being. Like these kinds of things for me I have a responsibility now to share that this can be done here.
Incredible.
And you can build something special in Youngstown. Surround yourself with great people. Surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with people that are going to encourage you to do something great and not encourage you to quit when things get difficult.
Right.
So
that's
you can
huge.
do it here.
That's huge. Surround yourself with people who will tell you can do it and not encourage you to quit. I love that. I love that. In fact, this building, so what we didn't mention is this building sat empty. It was it sat empty. It was kind of like abandoned for a while or empty, right?
Yep.
And in a day and age where sometimes it's disheartening to see the only people really building big things are medical facilities or you know what I mean, things that are not really like locally tied. Like it's nice to see local people or even just individuals, even if it's growing, like let's just say you become nationwide, you're still a local guy who had an idea that's just grown. But it's so beautiful to see like businesses doing so well that they can take a structure that was sitting empty and make it into something so amazing.
And I'll tell you, I mean, when you walk through our facility, what's special about it and why it feels special when you walk through here is not because of me or our team and the design elements or this, that, or the other that we chose or whatever. It was that we worked with small businesses in this community to do everything here. So Yanni's Custom Furniture built that beautiful table in our conference room and built this table that we're on and built a bunch of the furniture here.
Wow.
And he poured his heart and soul into this facility. Jason Rubin at CR Electric did all of our electrical work, and his team poured everything they had into this place. Joe Coke Construction was our general contractor. They did all the work of piecing together all the different, various different contractors that maybe we didn't have in our book of business. But those people, when they came here, it wasn't just another job. They knew who we were. They knew that we were part of this community. Yeah. They knew that it was important to us, and we had a lot of thought and intentionality that went into this facility. So when they came, they brought their A game. So this place is special because of those people. This place is special because, the people like Stan Nudell, our realtor, who pushed us to buy this facility. Wow. The bank, Cortland Bank, and Kerry Stackhouse and Tim Carney at the time, they took a shot on me and took a chance on me.
See.
The family that owned this facility and was willing to let it go because it was good to them for many years and it sat empty. And, they could have tried to hold on to it longer and got more money, but, they were good to us. They were good to me. They're a great local family that said,
they're
hey,
local. Oh, that's great.
We want someone that's going to love this place and it's going to be good to them like it was to us for many years. So
Incredible.
This is a culmination of a lot of people's energy in this place.
Right. I love that. Like I love that so much. You have no idea. Because without the people, this place would just be, any place would
just
be.
Just a building.
Right. But we have such special, speaking of local things, are you familiar with the South High project?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So the old South High School, it was owned by outside investors for a long time. And it was really bad inside. And then a local organization bought it and they've been fixing it up. They've been working real grassroots, and they're going to be putting in a trade school, a workforce development and trade school. And just to hear their heart and listen to their heart is so incredible. But to know that it's back in local hands is so meaningful because that building is so gorgeous. It's beautiful from the outside, but when you walk in and then you really hear the heart of the auditorium. Just the same guy who built the courthouse built the South High School.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that incredible? And it was just sitting there empty in outside hands until somebody was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this.
This is important to us. This is special."
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
awesome.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, Tim, thank you for joining Youngstown Click. If you like this, make sure you share it and follow HD Growth Partners on social media, White Glove Payroll. if you are, if you have any of those needs, reach out. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. And as always, never forget that you are the best part of what makes Youngstown click. I am so thankful for you guys. I'm so thankful that you're part of my click. And we will talk to you soon. We have some meetups coming up soon. So if you're local, make sure you follow our Facebook page, Youngstown Click, to find out about the upcoming winter meetups. And I will talk to you later.